There's absolutely 100% no excuses for NBA franchises giving their third option a max, fearful of losing them in free agency to other good teams. The fact of the matter is, for the embarrassing absolute failure of the Philadelphia 76er process, having the choice after its most successful season since 2001 Iverson, choosing their options terribly between Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler,
Tobias Harris over me?
elected to pay zero-time All-Star Tobias 0 points in an elimination game Harris 5 years $180 million, the most atrocious contract in franchise history, irreparable damage, sabotaging their organization, a huge reason why the team can't afford to get other good players to pair up with Embiid. The former MVP himself has had his history of untimely injuries. To his credit, did ball out 37-13 Game 6, only for his second highest paid player to drop 0 points in 29 minutes. Elimination game, took only 2 shots. A despicable, absolute, horrendous, disgusting disgrace of a travesty. Harris should never play another minute for the Sixers franchise. Talk about a generational robbery at its absolute worst. Half the times, many forget he's even on the floor, escaping from all the blame being a number 3 to the Ben Simmons meltdown, Embiid and James Harden ridiculed. Somehow, Harris gets untouched. It's finally time. Tobias gets all the noise handed to him. Absolutely useless for any contender. Having massive size at 6'8", his game never improved. One-dimensional scorer, a bootleg version of old Carmelo Anthony. His disgusting contract, taking up 3 rotational players' salaries, matching the trio of Aaron Gordon, KCP, and Christian Brown combined. It's an absolute triple travesty. Harris received a $180 million contract. Jalen Brunson only 4 years $104. Harris alone makes nearly as much as OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo combined. Brunson only 2/3 of Tobias' salary, the only thing that's saving his image, being a nice and likable guy off the court, unlike Ben Simmons, one of those players who stopped caring after getting them Benjamins. I made a recent video before these playoffs on role players known for notoriously choking in the postseason, and Tobias continues to prove our point. Averaged an epic all-time disgusting 9 points a game, 43% from the field, 6 games, shot 4 total free throws in the series, 218 minutes, not aggressive whatsoever, melted against the physical hungry Tibbs defense, looked like a gentle teddy bear out there, making a case for the worst contract all time, not impacted by injury, being the healthiest guy on the team, but playing the absolute worst. Tobias single-handedly tanked the process. It's nearly impossible to build a serious contender with Harris eating up almost $40 million a year in cap space, always known as a decent starter. Doc Rivers, the one who ruined the Sixers franchise. Having him and Danilo Gallinari overperform in 2018, averaged 21-8, talked about as the all-star caliber, supposed to be the missing piece to Jimmy Butler and Embiid Sixers. Of course, Toby shits the bed, comes up way short from 3, never steps up when needed, shows up to his job, does the minimum, knowing he gets paid no matter the outcome, similar to pre-Golden State Andrew Wiggins. But at least Wiggs was an all-star, balled out being the second best player on a championship team, will always be loved in the Bay. Harris will never be loved in Philadelphia, never played to his above average self after round 1, almost 6'9", barely ever dunks the ball, puts up good stats against shit teams, only to choke under pressure on the great ones, doesn't take advantage on mismatches, way too predictable, settles too much for the turnaround fadeaways, allergic to contact, doesn't have much of a bag, provides nothing off the ball, stands around and does nothing most of the time, not a dread. Vet minimum teammates Kelly Oubre Jr. and Kyle Lowry on a buyout made way more of an impact than the disgusting Harris, the definition of a good starter on a bottom tier team like the Wizards, where he belongs, rarely drives to the lane, can't pass the ball, or relied upon to step up when his stars hurt. Too bad Daryl Morey had to make Sixers fans suffer even harder, failing to find anything to trade for him. Joel being banged up last year, Boston series. Toby elected to have 2 points, 42 minutes in Game 6. He might not be outspoken, but the lack of aggression to step up speaks volume. Even without Embiid 34 games this past regular season, his numbers of 18-7 basically remains the same, doesn't bother taking on a bigger responsibility, got offended when fans wanted to trade him for a box of cookie, They don't even want a cookie to see him never play in Philly. Even if he's worth half the contract at 5 years 90, would still get backlash due to playing soft, doesn't have a go-to skill set to complement a superstar, ended the season scoring 0 fucking points, incredibly lazy, 0 effort and passion come playoff time. Doesn't even crash the glass. Even worse, his tenure with Philly, 0 charges drawn. If you thought that was even possible, will forever be known for that atrocity of a contract. Buddy Hield had the hot hand game 6 and Nick Nurse elected to go with the useless Harris. While guys like D'Angelo Russell gets more flack from the media playing under LeBron, Tobias would have gotten the Westbrook treatment if he was in LA, only 3 times worse. The countless terrible franchise decisions, from tanking to signing GM Elton Brand, Ben Simmons, and Tobias, now 2 of the most hated players Sixers fans had to deal with. If Philly's still without a championship 2 decades down the line, many will look back at this disgusting Tobias Harris contract in the era of terrible signings. Many teams always seems to find a way to move guys around, but Tobias remaining put only for predictable, embarrassing no-show outcomes to a player who only averaged 20 points a game for 1 full season, nothing more. There's no basketball player you want to watch that'll put you to sleep quicker than Mr. 0 points. CJ McCollum of the New Orleans Pelicans, stuck with the underachieving banged up Pels. The team looked to make a serious push, now taking 3 steps backwards. Under contract till 2026, the Blazers made a piss poor decision, giving him 3 years $100 million extension, followed by New Orleans extending him to 2 years $64. May look like a star with his scoring at nights, but doesn't truly move the needle or play a lick of defense. Not even a real second option on a true contender if we're being realistic. His best moments, beating the young inexperienced 2019 Nuggets, balled out back-to-back 30 pieces, Game 6 and 7, but swept and struggled against Golden State, heavily underachieved 2021 against a depleted Nuggets team without Jamal Murray, stepped out of bounds in the most crucial possession, 18 points for 7 made baskets, over 50 minutes played, ruined Dame's 55. CJ absolutely didn't cut it. Looked like he was excelling after traded to New Orleans. One of the many reasons the franchise needed to keep Zion happy. Put up just 22 on 39, 33, 69 shooting splits. 2022 playoffs. Looked like an absolute chucker, not a true point guard. Ironically, the Pels and Phoenix Suns, both without a true floor general, the only teams to get swept in the first round of these playoffs, a lesson the rest of the league must learn. His best role going forward, becoming a 6th man like a Lou Williams, Jamal Crawford type, but 0-2 year 64, that's too much to ask for coming off the bench. From giving Zion no help in the play-in loss to the Lakers, 1 of 9 from 3, minus 17 for 9 points, coughed it up game 1 against OKC, went 9 of 22, missed a go-ahead contested 3, an awful possession, failing to score more than 20 points each game in the sweep. CJ turns 33 next season, doesn't fit the Pels timeline, outplayed by Jalen Williams and Chet. The Pels' David Griffin deserves more blame, having CJ be the sole ball handler, playmaker, and scorer. Don't get me wrong, CJ's a nice player who gets buckets, but doesn't have the vision, can't withdraw the pressure of elite defense. The OKC series results super predictable, especially with teammate Brandon Ingram doing absolutely nothing to help out. While B.I. did become an All-Star 2020, he's off the hook for this list. While most improved player looked to be on the rise, but absolutely stagnated, did not get better, way too injury prone. His confidence seemed to be shot after struggling mightily for Team USA last summer, demanded to be benched for Austin Reeves. Ingram just another one of those super talented players with multiple time All-Star ability, but fails to bring the intensity every night. The classic example for this list, obviously Joe Harris of the Brooklyn Nets. His absolute travesty performances 3 years ago, still being felt today, severely impacted Durant's legacy. Just like how Tobias Harris ruining Embiid's chances of advancing further in the playoffs outside of injuries, Mr. No-Show Joe, building many bricks, the main reason for KD to have never made it past the second round after Golden State. 4 years, $75 million for a one-dimensional role player with little playoff experience, couldn't find the ocean, a piss-poor 4 of 21 shooting from 3 the 2019 Philly series. Of course, with KD, Kyrie, and Harden's big 3, team had to scramble for many vet minimums. Harris forced to play 37 minutes, winnable game 3, went 1 of 11 from the floor, missed a wide open J up 1, leading to a Drew Holiday transition layup. Team easily could have been up 3-0, went 2 of 11 game 5, the game KD single-handedly won. Harris of course absolutely useless game 7, everybody gassed, 47 minutes played. Steve Nash would have been better off playing Landry Shamet for God's sake. Never recovered after the Bucks series, 2 ankle surgeries after, couldn't find his rhythm, waived by the awful Pistons, nobody picked him up. The perfect modern day version of poor man's Nick Anderson. Harrison Barnes signed 4 years $85, 2019 for Sacramento, very overpaid. Nowhere near as Tobias overpaid, but going to a franchise where the fanbase only dreamed of making the playoffs after 17 long years of waiting. His Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis weren't viewed as serious contenders, but first round matchup with Golden State absolutely winnable, only for Harrison to go back to his 2016 finals breaking ways. 6 of 25 from 3 in the series, 3 of 11 shooting game 4. Of all people, had the chance to win game 4. Of course, everybody in the building knew he was gonna miss. A disgusting 4-point, 1 of 4 game 7, signed to a 3-year $54 million extension, a fair price in today's NBA, but he's not gonna help the Kings get over the hump. DeAndre Ayton, 4 years $133 extension, matched by the Suns when he wanted to play for Indiana all along. One of the most disappointing number 1 picks, irrelevant enough to not get more backlash from having a solid 2022 playoff run before getting destroyed by the Luka special, the no-show game 7. When mentally checked out, DA simply does not give a damn. Stop playing altogether, bench for Jock Landale, ruined the Suns franchise so bad. Franchise gave him up for the inferior worse Yusuf Nurkic, turned out to be a terrible choice. Ayton basically pulled a Ben Simmons on them. Jordan Poole still got that 4-year $140 rookie extension despite getting clocked by Draymond to another dimension. Ruined the trajectory of his career from confidence and arrogance, but also balling out. Looked like Golden State's next star after Steph Curry. Labeled the dirt splash brother to being called trash brother. From the bad body language, crazy memes, and lacking team chemistry, the then 23-year-old became a shell of himself. Absolutely awful in that Lakers series. While other guys like Bradley Beal, Klay Thompson, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons have made all-star appearances, Jeremy Grant being super overpaid. When was the last time he made the playoffs? Oh wait, back in the bubble with Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. We won't be seeing that from him anytime soon.